Every day, millions of people integrate 40 verses of Awadi poetry into their daily rhythm. The HANUMANCHALISA is recited in homes, during commutes, and before high-stakes decisions across the globe. It is a 16th-century text, yet it persists without friction in highly digitized, fast-paced modern environments. Its survival is tied to a specific human tension. We continually struggle with the reality that acquiring immense capability, wealth, or influence almost inevitably corrodes a person's moral compass. The HANUMANCHALISA addresses this exact flaw. Read carefully, it operates as an ancient psychological manual engineered to solve the problem of corrupted power. This scale visualizes the central contradiction of Hanuman. Early verses define him as an ocean of wisdom, yet simultaneously he possesses a terrifying physical force. Tulsidas deliberately places these opposing traits side by side. He introduces a fulcrum to hold them together: devotion. Mastering this specific equilibrium between ultimate kinetic strength and absolute intellectual humility maps out a highly effective blueprint for inner peace. Before the poem details a single physical feat, it establishes a strict condition. The very first couplet requires the reader to cleanse the mirror of their own mind, Naiman Mukur Sudari. The text then elevates the concept of being vidyavan, possessing deep intellectual wisdom. This highly refined intellect serves as the required psychological container to hold immense power safely. According to the Chalisa's architectural blueprint, raw capacity is useless and highly dangerous if the mind wielding it lacks total clarity. The verses do not shy away from explosive, kinetic action. They detail the violent burning of Lanka and the brutal elimination of demonic forces. None of these world-shifting acts are executed for personal conquest, wealth, or ego. Hanuman demonstrates strict restraint by altering his physical form based entirely on tactical necessity. He shrinks to a microscopic size to observe quietly and expands to a massive, terrifying scale to fight. This situation dictates the power, never vanity. True strength relies on the ironclad discipline to deploy destructive capacity only when required for a selfless cause. This triad network visualizes the text's governing algorithm: active devotion or a higher purpose. Separating these elements creates danger. Strength without wisdom is a destructive hazard. Wisdom without devotion creates paralyzing arrogance. Dedicating his capacities entirely to Ram neutralizes these risks completely. Devotion is not passive submission. It is the ultimate synthesizer, forging volatile power into a perfectly balanced instrument. In its final third, the text pivots from historical mythology to make a direct promise to the modern reader. The verses claim that reciting the text will actively dispel ghosts, repel unseen forces, and cure physical diseases. When we look at the internal landscape, these ancient symbols act as descriptions of an unmoored mind. A ghost is an intrusive memory or a future fear that haunts the present. A disease is the chronic fatigue of a fragmented will. The text frames these as external disruptions that cannot enter a mind that is fully occupied by a single powerful focus. The psychological mechanism operates by aligning one's thoughts, words, and actions with the archetype of the warrior scholar. This alignment provides a direct antidote to mental chaos because it leaves no cognitive space for idle anxiety. The inner peace promised here is the direct byproduct of that focus. By channeling chaotic intellect toward a selfless purpose, the mind stops fighting itself, and the static of fear simply runs out of fuel. In the closing lines, Tulsidas secures his own conclusion. He identifies himself permanently as a servant to a higher power, asking it to reside in his heart. This final act of humility resolves the paradox established at the beginning of the text. The highest form of capability detailed in the Chalisa is never about achieving dominion over others or conquering the external world. Ultimate power is absolute mastery over oneself, executed entirely through the vehicle of selfless devotion.